February 16, 2023. Kitty has been on our butts all morning. He'll run over here, jump up on the Chester drawers, and as homage to Morpheus,
Black Orpheus, 1959 movie.
He'll paw at the window, and then go back here and paw at that window, and then jump back up here and paw at the window. You have to see Morpheus to understand. Kitty, out. Very well trained. Nice exit, Kitty. Appreciate it. Now this way. Run along. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Very good. He's a method cat. And there's the second one. Linda's doing her homework. Yes, I heard you. All right, Kitty. You be good. All right. All right, we're at February 16, 2023. And 169745. And welcome to the Please Subscribe show. I am Cole Spivey.
I'm Linda Spivey.
And we're headed off for an adventurous day to drop food at your doorstep. They got a real good breakfast.
Welcome, Braum's. Can I help you?
The great thing about Braum's is the farm fresh for over 50 years. And also you can get yourself an ice cream sundae, some nice old hamburgers and chicken burgers. You know, it goes back to me when I think about these things, about the good things in life, about why I fell into the field of possibly being like a cinema actor. I've always been told that those types of actors, film actors, they usually eat light. They don't always get the good things in life, always. Of course, some of them don't, though. A lot of them do. I started to realize, you know, vloggers and looking at what they do in life, and they take in the good things in life. They video log it, and they show God's love. It's about time we invented that type of medium. It's different than the other ones. I think it's personally important to show God's love. And you know, those actors that they do like a spit take and spit it out, and they can always have the first bite. I always do mine on the second bite or so, but this one I'm gonna do on the first bite. It's just a Braum's Jr. It's not the biggest burger in the world, but it makes a good breakfast because I'm a little late for breakfast. And got a little ketchup packet and some napkins. Good service too. Here's Braum's bag. Braum's has some of the best burgers right here. This is just one of their juniors. It is important to show God's love. Why would we not? They got the pickles, the cheese, the beef. Put a little bit of sauce on it. Farm fresh. Those look good right there. Her little confession box.
I'm sure she might give you ours.
Nah, I'm okay. I got some tea. Nah, that's okay.
I'm gonna
okay.
get thirsty too.
It looks like a little confession box. What is your concerns, child? What do they say in the confession box? It has been my entire life since my last confession. Go through the grocery store here. This is great. All these peanuts. This is just a place where you get burgers and french fries. You can actually just do all your, grocery shopping here too. $2 for $7. I got my favorite oatmeal cookies are my favorite. I haven't really come across a cookie as good as oatmeal. For some reason, I'm just a big fan of oatmeal cookies. I do like macadamia too, and these cookies with the M&Ms. Those are actually probably my third favorite. I do like snickerdoodles. I'm getting into snickerdoodles lately. Not that I should be on a cookie fad, but oatmeal is going to be number one. What they have, I'd probably say number two would probably be the cookies with the M&Ms. And then going into snickerdoodle. Probably the chocolate chunks are going to be on the last after the peanut butter and the almond. Triple almond. Triple chocolate almond. And then, yeah, I just don't come across a lot of good chocolate chunks. But I do like them. Theirs look good. But this is the one that they usually, if they mess up on, they'll mess up on the chocolate chunk. But not on the oatmeal. Oatmeal's always good. You got a little checkout counter right here. Beef jerky. You can even get pickles here. Honey cured ham and turkey. Salted caramel right here. They're playing cranberries. Yeah, they're playing the cranberries. They cut it off for copyright. And then they've got salad, peaches, fresh fruit, and apples. I'm not giving you the answers.
Shift leader, so now they need like previous.
And the banana split's a popular item in delivery. You can get them for $4.89 right here. You also have candy bar sundaes, fancy sundaes, ice cream sundaes. And you got your straight up junior cone, single, double, and triple dip. Or you go the frozen yogurt route with a large if you wanted. Jump up some juniors to large on the shakes and malts and freezes. Throw in some candy bar mixes. Large, only $3.20. Then you got your California. Oh, Chipotle. It's a Chipotle sandwich. Even though they have that, looks good actually. It's $7.99 for the combo. Linda ran me out of there real quick, but I'll tell you why later. But they do have a nacho burger. I didn't get to vlog it because she came up right behind me, sent me to my car. Oh gosh, okay. So I'm learning a whole lot through the vlog. That there's a major difference between vlog and cinema. It's a mysterious difference, though. It's very mysterious. It goes back to the 1920s, probably. Social media has a rap. It has a rap. I do see some really good vlogs, like, for example, coming out of New York, Casey Neistat. It's borderline cinema and could be even argued. Some of that stuff is shown at Cannes and stuff. A lot of fun. But mostly, and I hate to say the quality, because you look at films like Pi, which is Darren Aronofsky's first almost borderline student film, but it was a real film. And that is considered big-time cinema in my book. But yet, the quality is very different. So I wouldn't say it's quality that makes cinema. I don't think it's quality. You could do cinema on a video camera for sure. They did that with Blair Witch. And Blair Witch was even scripted. It's hard to say. It's very hard to say the difference between the vlog and cinema. Anyway, we're working on a piece. I don't really talk about it. So we're mixing it in the vlog to give you kind of a heads up of what it'll be like. But I will say it's post-apocalyptic. And whether we're in post-apocalyptic time, post-9/11, it's debatable a little bit. Some say we're post-apocalyptic since 1945, since the end of World War II. But anyway, I'm calling it post-apocalyptic. We don't see any zombies or anything like that. And all the cars are robot cars. So a lot of people will pay extra at Braum's, just for the convenience, because you can go in there and get your bread, lunch meat, different produce. You can get milk, ice cream, cans of soup. Probably can even buy bacon, maybe even steak. But you can get a lot of different items, breakfast items, all kinds of stuff that if you want to just skip the whole grocery store, scene, you just go in and maybe even get a burger and some ice cream and a French fries or something. They have a nacho burger now, but it's claiming to be fresh market. So you go in there and it's basically like a little miniature grocery store, and you can stop and get something to eat too. It does flock to elderly as well as even young people. And it's a pretty good deal. And plus they have the best hamburgers and cheeseburgers in town. So we go back to when we talk about Grace. I know we're also writing a screenplay. The Epic of Gilgamesh goes back to 2100 BC, which I believe one of the characters is transformed into a wolf. I think it might have been Gilgamesh's friend, and he has to tame him. Yeah, Gilgamesh is one of the first stories that we have that have been that's been recorded. One of the first, maybe not the very first, but certainly one of them. We had to read it in English literature in college and study it. Gilgamesh and he has a friend. I think his friend turns into a wolf. Gilgamesh goes back beyond 2100 BC. One of our most early texts. It was written for a king of that time. And in the story, there's a character named Ishtar, who's a female god of fertility, who is in love with Gilgamesh and flirts with him. And that's kind of how it starts. Eventually, someone's turned into a wolf. And that was our first werewolf story, which is our oldest text. It's pretty interesting. It goes all the way back to our earliest text of a story. It was actually a werewolf story. Part of it was Gilgamesh. It's about a warrior. The argument about the first werewolf is debatable among scholars. Some feel that Gilgamesh introduced the fact that someone shapeshifts into a wolf because of a spell. Others say that Petronius, 27 AD, so 27 years after Christ, wrote a piece called Satyricon, which mentions the werewolf as well. So some feel Satyricon is the first werewolf tale, and then others feel that since it was introduced as Gilgamesh, or introduced into the tale of Gilgamesh, that it goes back beyond 2100 BC. Some even say 2600 BC. It's a very old text. Satyricon's pretty old too. Petronius was a scribe ordered by the Emperor Nero, which is a very evil Nero, and is also mentioned in the book of Revelations, and his number being 666, which is actually not his number. 666 is a made up or a blank number. It actually just means like X, it's not a real number. So the real number of Nero, it has been known, but it's never really recalled because not a lot of people know it. The reason why John from Revelations wrote about Nero was because he was on an island and he was given a gift of prophecy by God. And so he prophesied and told the story of Revelations, which mentions the King Nero at the time, who was an evil emperor. So that story goes back all the way to 27 AD, when Petronius wrote Satyricon, or around that time. It was between 27 AD and in the 30s ADs or so. No one knows the exact time, because it was not published until 1664. I do see somewhere where it said 61 AD on Satyricon, so they don't know the exact date, but usually they can kind of get it to a certain circa. But it was published in 1664, many years later. So it was just written, it was just kind of sitting there. Very strange. Also, another thing, just a side note, there's a filmmaker called Fellini who made a movie called Satyricon, which is very, very different than probably the written text. Ooh, look, Mel. Got a package delivered to me from the United States. No, he's probably here to get some ice cream. But anyway, it's an interesting story. It's interesting that I'd run across that. I remember coming across Gilgamesh, and I'll tell you my own personal relation with Gilgamesh. I had this English teacher. Well, I played Stanley Kowalski in college, so this is probably like a little bit before I played that role. But anyway, she was an English teacher, and she made us study everything like Gilgamesh and all this stuff. We did do like cross-references, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I cross-referenced, was it Gilgamesh? I think it was Gilgamesh with The Godfather, with Francis Ford Coppola's Godfather. But I was madly had a mad crush on this English teacher. She had like kind of sandy blonde hair that went down here. She was pretty thin and very articulate. So I was, madly in love with her. She actually came and saw me when I played Stanley in Streetcar. She said I did a good job. But she was only an English teacher. She was a professor. But she introduced us to Gilgamesh. And it was interesting, some of her cross-references and stuff like that. It's interesting to see a lot of that on YouTube, talking about Gilgamesh, and it's an older text. But I will be probably talking about that. I haven't mentioned it in the script yet. I may have mentioned Satyricon, and I know I've mentioned Petronius. So some scholars are believers that Petronius is the first werewolf story, or Petronius writing Satyricon, and then some believe that it goes all the way back to Gilgamesh. So I'm obviously going to go with the Gilgamesh story, but it doesn't really matter, and both will be mentioned in the research. The real story of Satyricon is very strange. It basically takes place between these two friends. It's a collection of stories. Encolpius and Gita. Now, they travel around and come across Nicarus. And Nicarus is a soldier, kind of like a Roman soldier kind of thing. And somewhere in the story, they stop at a graveyard. And someone out of the group decides to urinate in a circle. It's not Nicarus who's a soldier, but he witnesses it. In many cases, the werewolf story is about a soldier. Anyway, he sees this person urinate in a circle at this graveyard, and then he transforms the person that urinated, whoever this is, transforms into a wolf, and then runs off to like a nearby town, and Nicarus is stunned. So that was kind of the first mentioning of a werewolf in Satyricon, which is a collection of stories. So it's something like that to that certain extent. Another thing I've heard in the Greek myth is Lycanus, which is about a soldier that's cursed to turn into a wolf and eat his own kind until he's stopped. And then there's like basically something to do with the shape-shifting curse, which is known as lycanthropy. And I'll talk about that later. So Gilgamesh has to go on many adventures, and they introduce a friend to him known as Enkidu. Now, some say that he was kind of wolf-like, and then some say he was more of kind of like a bull. He had horns, and think of Tim Curry's character in Legend. He had these bull horns and these kind of calf feet. He ran along with the animals and the steers, and he was kind of like an animal creature that was there to accompany Gilgamesh. I think Gilgamesh's job was to kind of tame him, to make him more man-like. But they see him as kind of like a werewolf creature, a beast-like creature that was shape-shifted by the gods. Eventually, there's something to do maybe with a dragon or something like that, and I think he gets bit, and it's kind of like a dramatic scene. I guess you could compare that to St. Patty the Great, and of course, Grace LcSbanD's character, you know, St. Patty the Great being more like Enkidu, like the wild beast. And then, you know, he's already been tamed because he beats him later in the ring, because he kind of is supposed to in a way. But then he becomes his friend. And they're like adventurers. There's a scene like that. It kind of represents Enkidu and Gilgamesh. One aspect, scholarly publication I read about Gilgamesh is that it was written in 7th century of the Mesopotamian king, Erebarul or something like that, Erebarul. Regardless, it was written on 12 clay tablets. They wrote on tablets back then. Mostly talking about Gilgamesh and Enkidu.
Hey, how are you?